Friends, if you want to watch super hit movie Twilight in English, then you must like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, friends, in today's video. The movie we're going to talk about is called Twilight. We will talk about what this movie is and where you can watch it, all the interesting facts about this movie in today's video. I'm going to tell you, I'm also going to give you all the information on which OT platform or on which satellite channel you will get to watch this movie. Also, we will talk in detail about the technical department, music department, pre-production, filming, post-production, budget, box office, collection of this film. We will also talk about the story of this film. And I will also give you a small review of the story of this film. Apart from this, we will discuss about the facts of this film's storyline, star cast actors' performance in the film, and which character has played which role. That's why I request you, friends, to watch this video till the end, so let's start the video. Twilight is a 2008 American vampire romantic fantasy film directed by Catherine Hardwicke from a screenplay by Melissa Rosenberg, based on the 2005 novel of the same name by Stephen E. Meyer. It is the first installment in the Twilight Saga film series. The film stars Kristen Stewart as Bella Swan, a teenage girl, and Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen, a vampire. It focuses on the development of Bella and Edward's relationship and the subsequent efforts of Edward and his family to keep Bella safe from another coven of vampires. The project was in development for approximately 3 years at Paramount Pictures MTV Films, during which time a film adaptation that differed significantly from the novel was written. Summit Entertainment acquired the rights to the novel after the project's stagnant development. Rosenberg wrote a new adaptation of the novel shortly before the 2007-2008 Writers Guild of America strike and sought to be faithful to the novel's storyline. Principal photography began in March 2008 and took 44 days. Being completed in May, the film was shot in the states of Oregon, 8, and Washington. Twilight premiered at the Mann Village Theater in Westwood, California on November 17, 2008, and was theatrically released in the United States on November 21st by Summit Entertainment. Despite receiving mixed reviews from critics, the film grossed $408.5 million worldwide. It was released on DVD and Blu-ray on March 21, 2009, and became the most purchased DVD of the year. The soundtrack was released on November 4, 2008. The film was followed by 4 sequels: New Moon 2009, Eclipse 2010, Breaking Dawn Part 1 2011, and Breaking Dawn Part 2 2012. Plot: 17-year-old Bella Swan leaves Phoenix, Arizona, and moves to Forks, a small town located on Washington State's Olympic Peninsula, to live with her father, Charlie, the town's police chief. Her mother, Renee, is remarried to Phil, a minor league baseball player. Bella becomes reacquainted with Jacob Black, a Native American teen who lives with his father, Billy, on the Quileute Indian Reservation near Forks. At school, she finds the mysterious and aloof Cullen siblings particularly intriguing. She is seated next to Edward Cullen in biology class, but he seems repulsed by her. When Bella is nearly struck by a van in the school parking lot, Edward instantaneously covers a distance of over 30 feet to put himself between her and the van, stopping it with only his hand. He refuses to explain his actions to her, warning her against befriending him. Jacob tells Bella about a long-standing animosity between the Cullens and the Quileutes. The Cullens are not allowed on the reservation. When Edward saves Bella again, this time from a gang, after research she concludes that he is a vampire. He eventually confirms this, explaining that he found her scent irresistible back in biology class and that the Cullens only consume animal blood. The pair fall in love, and he introduces her to his vampire family. Carlisle Cullen, the patriarch, is a doctor at the Forks Hospital. Esme is his wife, and Alice, Jasper, Emmett, and Rosalie are their informally adopted children. The family's reaction to Bella is mixed, as some of the Cullens are concerned that the family's secret could be exposed. Edward and Bella's relationship is jeopardized when 3 nomadic vampires, James, Victoria, and Laurent, arrive, responsible for a series of deaths being investigated as animal attacks. James, a tracker vampire, is excited by Bella's scent and becomes obsessed with hunting her for sport. The Cullens protect Bella from the trio. Laurent chose to warn the Cullens about James, who in turn attempt to draw James away from Bella, but James manages to track her to Phoenix. She is there hiding with Jasper and Alice, and James tricks her into thinking he kidnapped her mother by luring her into her old ballet studio. James revealed the kidnapping was a ruse as he attacks Bella, infecting her with vampire venom. The Cullens arrive and kill James, decapitating and burning him as Edward removes the venom from Bella's wrist, preventing her from becoming a vampire. In the aftermath, Edward accompanies an injured Bella to prom, where he refuses her request to transform her into a vampire. They are unaware that James's mate Victoria is watching them, plotting revenge for her lover's death. Cast? See also list of Twilight cast members. Kristen Stewart as Bella Swan, a 17-year-old girl who moves to the small town of Forks, Washington from Phoenix, Arizona, and falls in love with Edward Cullen, a vampire. Her life is endangered after James, a sadistic vampire, decides to hunt her. Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen, a 108-year-old vampire who was changed in 1918 and still appears to be 17. He is Bella's love interest and eventually falls in love with her. He can read minds, except for Bella's, along with superhuman speed. Peter Facinelli as Carlisle Cullen, a compassionate 300-plus-year-old vampire who looks to be in his early 30s. He serves as the town's physician and is the Cullen family patriarch. Elizabeth Reeser as Esme Cullen, Carlisle's vampire wife and the matriarch of the Cullen family. Ashley Greene as Alice Cullen, Jasper Hale's mate, a vampire who can see the future based on decisions that people make. Kellen Lutz as Emmett Cullen, physically the strongest vampire of the family. Nikki Reed as Rosalie Hale, Emmett Cullen's mate, a vampire described as the most beautiful person in the world. She is hostile toward Bella throughout the film, worried that Edward's relationship with a human puts their clan at risk. Jackson Rathbone as Jasper Hale, a Cullen family member who can manipulate emotions. He is the newest member of the Cullen family, and thus has the most difficulty maintaining their vegetarian diet of feeding only on animal rather than human blood. Billy Burke as Charlie Swan, Bella's father and Forks chief of police. Cam Gandet as James Witherdale, the vicious member of a trio of nomadic vampires with an intention to kill Bella. He is Victoria's mate and a gifted tracker due to his unparalleled senses. Rochelle Lefevre as Victoria Sutherland, James' mate who assists him and Laurent in causing havoc in the Olympic Peninsula. Eddie Gathegi as Laurent Darevan, leader of a trio of vampires wreaking havoc in the Olympic Peninsula and the most civilized of the trio. Sarah Clark as Renee Dwyer, Bella's mother who lives in Arizona with her new husband Phil. Taylor Lautner as Jacob Black, an old childhood friend of Bella and a member of the Quileute tribe. Christian Serratos as Angela Weber, one of Bella's new friends in Forks. Michael Welch as Mike Newton, one of Bella's new friends who vie for her attention. Anna Kendrick as Jessica Stanley, Bella's first friend in Forks. Gregory Tyree Boyce as Tyler Crowley, another one of Bella's classmates, also vying for Bella's attention. He nearly hits Bella with his van. Justin Chon as Eric Yorkie, another one of Bella's classmates who vies for her attention. Solomon Trimble as Sam Yulee. Solomon Trimble was credited as Jacob's friend in the film, but was widely recognized as playing the part of Sam. Chris Hyatt as Embry Call. He was recognized as playing the part of Embry in the Twilight film, though his role was uncredited. Gil Birmingham as Billy Black. Matt Bushell as Phil Dwyer. Jose Zúñiga as Mr. Molina. Ned Bellamy as Waylon Forge. Ayanna Berkshire as Cora. Katie Powers as Waitress. Trish Egan as Miss Cope Music. Main article Twilight soundtrack. The score for Twilight was composed by Carter Burwell, with the rest of the soundtrack chosen by music supervisor Alexandra Patsavas. Meyer was consulted on the soundtrack, which includes music by Muse and Linkin Park, bands she listened to while writing the novels. The original soundtrack was released on November 4, 2008, by Chop Shop Records in conjunction with Atlantic Records. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Release? Box office. Twilight grossed over $7 million in ticket sales from midnight showings alone on November 21, 2008. The film is 5th overall on Fandango's list of top advance ticket sales outranked only by its sequel the following year, Star Wars Episode III Revenge of the Sith, 2005, The Dark Knight, 2008, and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, 2009. It grossed $35.7 million on its opening day. For its opening weekend in the United States and Canada, Twilight accumulated $69.6 million from 3,419 theaters at an average of $20,368 per theater. The film grossed $192,769 in the United States and Canada and $240,407,061 in international territories for a total of $407,187,750. Its opening weekend gross was the highest ever of a female-directed film, surpassing that of Deep Impact 1998. Review. Twilight. Let's be honest. Which of us in our impressionable teenage years has not displaced an irrational horror of sex into a freaky emo crush on a moody vampire with sky-high cheekbones and a taste for human blood? I mean, haven't we all, in a very real sense? Since her celebrated 2003 film 13, director Catherine Hardwicke has accumulated some expertise in the dark side of adolescence and puts it to good use in this wildly enjoyable new film, an adaptation of the best-selling young adult novel by Stephen E. Meyer. Twilight is mad, bad, and deeply unwholesome to know, and perhaps, in its serious way, the most entertaining teen film since 10 Things I Hate About You. It is certainly a new twist on the time-honored nice girl, bad boy storyline. Virginal lovelies from the right side of the tracks have been conceiving the hots for unsuitable guys since Olivia Newton-John in Grease, Jennifer Grey in Dirty Dancing, and Claire Danes in TV's My So-Called Life. But this is something else. An outrageous story of young love played absolutely straight, and actually better and more convincingly acted than many of the ponderous grown-up relationship movies we have to sit through. It sports with the high school genre and America's pro-abstinence true love waits movement. But it's got something other than satire on its mind. Kristen Stewart plays Bella, a winningly pale girl who is the child of a broken home. She has been living with her divorced mom in Phoenix, Arizona, but now proposes to live with Dad, a police chief in a small northwestern town near a snowy landscape which vampire connoisseurs will instantly notice is a little reminiscent of the Carpathian Mountains of Transylvania. I am incidentally waiting for a postmodern vampire story to pay homage to Dracula's relationship with Yorkshire. Bella shows up for her first day at her new school and instantly establishes herself as a bit of a klutz, but not outrageously so. And she is certainly enough of a babe to get plenty of acceptable-looking guys to want to make friends. But it is Bella's destiny not to be attracted to these nice, normal people, and near the movie's climax, we see her looking poignantly from the window of a speeding car at these very same nice, normal people emerging from a diner, a veritable tableau of the nice, safe normality that could have been hers. For Bella is instantly attracted to a gaunt and charismatic hottie called Edward Cullen, played by the young British star Robert Pattinson. Edward is one of a super cool bunch of standoffish kids who seem to have dark hair, pale skin, and a very great aversion to sunshine. Edward spends a good deal of his time looking at Bella intensely, up through his eyelashes, as if in homage to Princess Diana. Pretty soon, Edward is using what appear to be superpowers to save Bella from various scrapes, and then he confesses his feelings for her and the truth about himself. Edward is undead, from a family of semi-nice vampires who live in the forest and who have vowed to be vegetarians, that is, live only on animal flesh. Edward and Bella are in agonies. However much he wants to give in to his feelings for Bella in the bedroom department, and however much Bella wants him to, he cannot, because he will become carried away. The quaint niceties of conventional penetrative sex will not be sufficient. In the heat of the moment, Edward will need some old-school neck-munching and blood-slurping, and he will therefore condemn Bella to an eternity in the vampire's twilight. And he, of course, loves her too much for that. Edward shows up in Bella's bedroom, and they try a little innocent making out before Edward has to wrench himself away, mastering himself with as much virile self-control as a 19th century curate. Edward is enough of a gentleman to take Bella to the prom, traditionally the venue at which America's young women decide to surrender their virginity to some profoundly unworthy suitor. They smooch a little on the dance floor, but then he inclines his teeth towards her ivory throat before whispering a question with infinite gentleness, "Is she ready?" Of course, all this parodies conservative America's preoccupation with just saying no, but it also, in a strange and unexpected way, responds to the just say yes movement. When anything and everything is sexualized in the media, when women and women's bodies are obsessively presented in sexual terms, then what happens if you don't fit in? To many intelligent young people, the world of the sexually active may indeed seem like an unlovely vampiric cult. Is there any romance, any fervency, any rapture at all that has nothing to do with any of this commercially determined sexiness? Twilight offers its own uproariously weird and engaging answer. It is in its unworldly way sweetly idealistic, with a charm all of its own, a teen romance to get your teeth into. Twilight, at least for a select group of ladies, has been the most anticipated movie of 2008, and their wait is finally over. The question is, was it worth it? For them, yes. For the rest of us, not so much. Twilight opens with the introduction of our heroine, Bella Swan, Kristen Stewart. She is in sunny Arizona with her mom and new stepfather, and as they prepare for a long road trip, she decides that she'd rather go up to Washington State to stay with her estranged father, Charlie, Billy Burke. He lives in the small town of Forks, population 3,000, and is the local sheriff. She arrives in the middle of the school year, so although it should be hard to make friends, and it's implied, she manages to connect with a group of kids who are far more welcoming than she is ready to be welcomed. They give her the scoop on who's who, and they soon point out the Cullens, an odd assortment of very pale-skinned guys and gals. To make things weirder, they are apparently foster brothers' sisters, yet they are couples. They've been taken in by the local doctor, Cullen, and his wife. One of the group is, of course, Edward, Robert Pattinson. His story is that no girl is good enough for him. Of course, Bella is immediately fixated on him, although the feeling is apparently very much not mutual. As a matter of fact, when she is assigned to be his lab partner, he seems to be repulsed by her. Edward leaves for a few days, and when he returns, his mood towards Bella has changed considerably. He's now polite and at least feigns interest. She, mostly, gets over being offended and tries to get to know him, although he still doesn't want to get close to her. Almost immediately, he saves her from being killed in a car accident in a scene that's been shown in the trailer. She's no dummy and doesn't miss the fact that he was across the parking lot, got over to her in a flash, and was able to keep a van from smashing into her to the point that he left a dent in the door with his hand. Note slight sarcasm there, folks. Anyway, we soon meet Dr. Cullen, Peter Fasinelli, at the hospital, whose makeup job is so incredibly white that he looks like the Cesar Romero version of the Joker. He is none too pleased about Edward. I guess I can't call him Ed, huh? Possibly exposing who he really is to save Bella's life. One thing leads to another, and the burgeoning romance is on its way, with a side trip to a confrontation with the bad vampires who actually kill humans to feed. Go figure. You see, the Cullens only drink the blood of animals. The bad guys have been responsible for a number of gruesome murders in town recently. One of them decides to target Bella, and thus we get the final confrontation, which finally brings us some decent action. So what's good? I thought that the stars and supporting cast actually did a really great job. Bella's friends were engaging, funny, and they played their roles very naturally. Billy Burke was low-key and very good as Bella's father. Kristen Stewart did a decent job, and I have to say that despite his severely sculpted eyebrows and uber-funky hair, that I liked Rob Pattinson's portrayal of Edward Cullen. I don't know how closely the way he played the character matched the version in the book, but I thought that his uncertainty and awkwardness, in light of how powerful he really was, made him quite charming. There were quite a few moments of unexpected humor in the film that I enjoyed. Nothing huge or slapsticky, but just little things that were enough to actually make me laugh out loud, which some comedies this year didn't manage to make me do. Really, the performances made this worthwhile for me. So what wasn't so good? For a non-fan, it was really a pretty bland film. It seemed very slow-moving at times, and let's face it, It's a pretty stock teen romance movie. There wasn't anything really special here outside of the fact that it had, vampires. Nothing really eye-catching as far as cinematography or interesting shots, and one thing that really struck me as bad were the visual effects. When the film had its first super speed effect, where the bad vampires corner one of the locals, it was so poorly done that I think I actually gasped out loud. I mean, there was this incredibly cheesy blur that I can't really describe except to say that anything you see on an average episode of Smallville is done far better. Imagine my shock at the end of the film when in the credits I saw Industrial Light and Magic listed among the visual effects companies. I can only guess that they were responsible for some other effect and not the one I just mentioned, which was terrible throughout the film. Towards the end, the teen romance cheese factor pegged the needle in the aftermath of the big battle in a scene between Edward and Bella. That was about the hardest scene in the movie to sit through, and pretty much from there until the end, it was quite sappy and reminded me of a typical teen TV series on the CW. The audience full of Twilight fans seemed to enjoy it a lot and gave it a thumbs up, so I guess it's achieved its goal. I'm curious to see if it does well enough at the box office to generate a sequel, which I'm thinking would actually be better than this film. So take all that for what it's worth. I'll leave the decision of whether to see it or not up to you. 10 years ago, the world was deep in the grip of a new film obsession called Twilight, released on November 21, 2008. While the 4-book series by Stephen E. Meyer about the romance between a human teenager and a vampire was already extremely popular with its audience of teenage girls, and at times older women who were affectionately called Twi-moms, the film opened it up to as-yet untapped fans. With the good looks of Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart gazing out from posters, the Twilight universe multiplied its fan base tenfold, which also naturally opened up the fandom to as-yet unprecedented levels of hate. The book series had attracted some ire, but mostly flown under the radar, whereas the worldwide mainstream obsession with Twilight that followed the film's release attracted more haters than anyone could expect. Of course, this isn't unusual for hit franchises. The success of Star Wars, the Marvel Universe, and Harry Potter have all taken their fair share of derision for A, not being real cinema, and B, being grotesquely successful. But the way that Twilight is despised is uniquely gendered, with detractors mostly not dismissing it for its poor writing or filmmaking, but because of the teenage, largely female fans who propelled it past mere hit and into obsession. Twilight was mostly criticized for one of two things: not being scary enough and not being sexy enough. It was almost forgotten that this film was aimed at tween to teenage girls and was about young female desire, crushes, lust, and the fear of unprotected sex. It didn't have to be horrific. It did exactly what it intended to: give teen girls someone to swoon over, a female lead to see themselves in, and a fantasy to get lost in that ultimately is safer than actually talking to a boy in real life. The very concept of Twilight seemed to offend some critics. Manohla Dargis' review in the New York Times barely managed to contain its disregard, even discussing Bella's inner monologue like so confusing feelings like, OMG, he's so hot! Does he like me? Will he kill me? I don't care! It's a barely concealed, vaguely misogynistic jab at Bella's teenage feminine desire and the way that girls allegedly speak. Empire's Will Lawrence was more fair, but did call it a sometimes girly swirl of obsession. Rafer Guzman said in Newsday that Twilight seems best left to its impressionable teenage fans. Edward Douglas for ShockTillYouDrop.com said it was catering to the gooey-eyed fans of Meyer's novels and their unrealistic romantic expectations, and many of the other reviews collated on Rotten Tomatoes mentioned the teenage fans disparagingly, with many others peppering in a LOL. Only Roger Ebert appeared to discuss the fans without derision in his review, saying, Twilight will mesmerize its target audience, 16-year-old girls, and closing with, I understand who Twilight appeals to, and it sure will. His review shows that he understands that Twilight is not for him, but that he respects the people it is for. Twilight started one of the highest-grossing franchises of all time. The books and the film series have made Stephen E. Meyer millions. It ushered in a new era for fandom, with fans battling it out between themselves as members of Team Edward or Team Jacob. Twilight was, by all accounts, an incredibly fruitful and beloved franchise, a success. But throughout the reviews and throughout popular opinion, the vitriol directed at those fans indicates that its fans are not only wrong to love Twilight, but that their obsession is somehow dangerous. Their love essentially means nothing, because they are brainless consumers powered only by their hormones, not valued tastemakers. But it wasn't just the reviewers who hated Twilight. Even star Kristen Stewart actively tried to separate herself from the series to become a more serious actress. Robert Pattinson often laughs about it in interviews, going as far as to say that were he not in Twilight, he would mindlessly hate it. At the time of the film's release, there were entire communities dedicated to tearing apart Twilight as avidly, if not more so, than its perceived obsessive fans. Anti-fans called it Twatlight, and its fans Twittereds. They read the books and watched the films, if only to go online and mock the series. They go as far as to produce their own fan fiction, such as New Moon, the first book in the Twishite saga, a parody rewrite of Twilight, and videos and memes online such as Twilight in 15 Minutes and Buffy vs. Edward, putting obsessive effort into their hatred. Stephen King even called Twilight tweenager porn, further legitimizing the idea that teenage girls cannot be tastemakers. The public assumption that Twilight is bad served only to reinforce the idea that teenage girls are stupid and it's okay to laugh at their interests. In the late 2000s, hatred of Twilight became a public performance of othering. You were either stupid for liking it or smart for hating it. There was no in-between. The fever surrounding Twilight was akin to the one surrounding 50 Shades of Grey in 2012, as was the vitriolic hatred. The audience was slightly different. Grey, originally a Twilight fan fiction, appealed to an older audience, but both deal directly with the awakening of female desire and were feverishly adored by women. But instead of stepping away and saying, "This is not meant for me," in both instances, detractors went public with their hatred. This is not something seen in media for boys that is frivolous or full of plot holes or poorly written. Huge franchises like Star Wars or the Avengers, which are also designed mostly for male teens, are perfectly acceptable media for adults to consume and pick apart critically. But when a new Marvel film is released, even when it is poorly reviewed, there is nothing near the level of public takedown that Twilight attracted. Mediocre, even bad, films for men and boys are allowed to be enjoyed as disposable entertainment, or at least fade into obscurity. That is not to say Twilight is perfect. Its lack of diversity, its absence of a sense of humor about itself, and its monochrome brooding make it both anachronistic and unwatchable for many. The film's treatment of female desire, its message being that abstinence is the only way to not get killed, is perhaps even dangerous for young women to watch. And Edward's choice to attend high school as a man of over 100 years old is nothing short of creepy, especially in a post-Me Too era. But it offered something to a generation of teenage girls, an outlet for their burgeoning desires, a way of understanding the world, a heroine as plain and quiet as they felt. It seems strange that outlet is through a film that seems to be a rally cry for abstinence, but still. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, despite being critically acclaimed, tells women that bad things will happen if they have sex with vampires too. That isn't to say either that we can't say we don't like films aimed at women and girls. But we need to think of a few things first. Why do we hate it? Because other people love it? Because its content is twee or romantic or campy or anything else associated with young women? Were this a film aimed at men but similarly poorly written with campy acting, would we feel so much hate? It isn't that people hated Twilight, it's the gendered nature and language of that hatred. Twilight is but a blip on the cultural map now, but a punchline still. It serves as a lesson for how we treat female fans, and 10 years on we seem to be making some headway in allowing teen girls to be tastemakers. Their raw, relentless passion doesn't mean they somehow haven't dissected their decision to love something. Fans can be as smart in their love as any cynic can be in their hate. It's just a shame nobody realized that when the Twihards were being eviscerated on forums just for purely loving something, she had to come with him to her old ballet studio, a place where Bella used to practice dancing. Bella was very worried about her mother and decided to go hoping to rescue her. But when she got there, she realized it was all a trick. James never had her mother. Instead, he attacked Bob, biting her and infecting her with vampire venom. This vampire venom was very dangerous because it could change Bella into a vampire if it was not treated quickly. Just when things seemed very bad, the Cullen family arrived just in time to save her. They fought James with all their strength. The fight was intense, but in the end, the Cullens defeated James by cutting off his head and burning his body to make sure he could never hurt anyone again. After James was gone, Edward carefully removed the vampire venom from Bella's wrist, stopping the venom from turning her into a vampire. This was a very important and close moment for Bella, because if Edward had not acted fast, she would have changed forever. After all the scary events, Bella was hurt and needed to rest. Edward stayed by her side and took her to the school prom, a special dance event where many students celebrate together. At the prom, Bella asked Edward if he would turn her into a vampire so she could be with him forever and never get hurt or sick. But Edward said no because he cared about her and wanted her to stay human for as long as possible. He knew that being a vampire was very different and difficult, and he wanted Bella to have a normal life. This showed how much Edward loved Bella and wanted to protect her, even if it meant not being together in the way Bella wanted. What Bella and Edward didn't know was that Victoria, who was James's mate, was watching them from a distance. Victoria was very angry and sad because James had been her partner and now he was gone. She wanted to get revenge for James's death and planned to cause trouble for Bella and the Cullens. This meant that even though the biggest danger had passed for now, there were still more challenges waiting for Bella and Edward. The story continued with new adventures, dangers, and the strong bond between Bella and Edward as they faced everything together. Kristen Stewart played the important role of Bella Swan in the movie Twilight. Bella is a 17-year-old girl who moves from a sunny city called Phoenix, Arizona, to a small rainy town called Forks in Washington. Kristen had to show how Bella feels being new at school and in a place very different from what she was used to. Bella is shy, quiet, and a little bit different from other kids, but she is also very brave and kind. Kristen helped bring Bella to life by acting in a way that made people believe Bella's story and emotions. She showed how Bella falls in love with Edward Cullen, a vampire, even though she knows it's dangerous. Kristen's acting made the movie more interesting and helped fans of the book see Bella as a real person, not just a character on the page. Kristen Stewart's performance was important because she had to play many different feelings at times. Bella was nervous and scared, especially when she realized that vampires were real and that one vampire named James wanted to hurt her. Kristen showed Bella's fear and worry very well, so the audience could understand how serious and dangerous the situation was. But Bella was also curious and hopeful when she was with Edward, and Kristen made those feelings clear to some. People thought Kristen's acting was very good because she looked natural and believable, just like a real teenager experiencing love and danger for the first time. Many fans loved how Kristen made Bella feel real and easy to connect with. Even though Kristen did a great job, she faced some problems while making the movie. Filming Twilight was hard because it took place in rainy and cold weather, especially in Oregon and Washington. Kristen had to wear clothes that didn't always keep her warm, and she sometimes had to act outside for many hours in the rain or fog. This made it uncomfortable, but she kept working hard to make the scenes look perfect. Also, Kristen was young, and this was one of her first big movies as the main star. She had to learn a lot about acting in front of cameras, working with special effects to show the vampires and doing scenes that needed careful timing and attention. Sometimes acting with the complicated vampire effects was difficult because she had to imagine things that weren't really there, like flying or glowing eyes, but Kristen stayed focused and did her best. Another challenge Kristen Stewart faced was dealing with all the attention and excitement from fans and the media. Twilight became very popular very fast, and many people started watching Kristen in interviews, magazines, and on TV. Sometimes that made her feel nervous or shy because she was still young and wasn't used to being so famous. She also had to keep playing Bella for 4 more movies, which meant she had to stay in character and keep growing as an actress for many years. Even with all this pressure, Kristen worked hard to make sure Bella stayed the same brave and kind girl that fans loved. Her role as Bella Swan helped make Twilight a very special movie, and many kids and teens enjoyed watching her story unfold on the big screen. Kristen's performance will always be remembered as one of the important parts of the Twilight saga. Robert Pattinson played the important role of Edward Cullen in the movie Twilight. Edward is a vampire who is very old, 108 years old, but he looks like a 17-year-old boy because vampires do not age like humans. Edward was changed into a vampire in the year 1918, so he has lived for a very long time. Even though Edward looks like a teenager, he has many special vampire powers. One of his most amazing abilities is that he can read other people's minds, which means he can hear what they are thinking. But there is one person whose mind he cannot read, Bella Swan, the girl he loves. Edward also has his superhuman speed and strength, which help him protect Bella when she is in danger. Robert Pattinson's job was to show Edward as a mysterious, strong, and caring vampire who learns to love a human girl. His acting made Edward's character feel real and interesting, helping the audience understand the complicated feelings Edward has about being a vampire and falling in love with Bella. Robert's performance in Twilight was important because he had to show many different emotions at once. Edward is sometimes serious and quiet because he is very careful about not hurting Bella. He is also brave and protective, always watching out for her. But Edward also has moments of happiness and love, especially when he is with Bella. Robert had to act like someone who carries a big secret and struggles with his feelings. Some people thought Robert did a great job because he made Edward look both powerful and gentle. He made Edward's love for Bella believable, and his cool and mysterious attitude added a lot to the story. Fans loved watching Robert's portrayal because he brought depth and emotion to the vampire character, making Edward one of the most memorable characters in the movie. However, Robert Pattinson also faced some challenges while making the movie. One of the hardest things was learning how to move and act like a vampire. Edward needed to move very fast and sometimes appear almost like he was flying. These scenes required Robert to work with special effects and cameras that made it look like he had super speed and strength. This was tricky because many times he had to pretend to do things that were added later by computer effects, so he had to use a lot of imagination. Also, Robert had to keep Edward's serious and calm personality while acting in scenes that were sometimes very emotional or scary. Filming in cold and rainy places like Oregon and Washington was tough too, especially because Edward usually wears formal clothes that are not very warm. Robert had to stay focused even when the weather was not comfortable. Another challenge Robert faced was the sudden fame and attention that came after the movie was released. Twilight became a huge success and made Robert very popular all over the world. Many fans loved Edward Cullen and wanted to learn more about Robert. This made Robert's life very busy with lots of interviews, fan meetings, and photo ops. Sometimes it was hard for him to stay private and keep his personal life separate from his public one. He also had to continue playing Edward in the next 4 movies of the Twilight saga, which meant a lot of hard work and dedication for several years. Despite all these challenges, Robert Pattinson kept working hard and became one of the most famous actors because of his role as Edward Cullen. His performance helped make Twilight an exciting and magical story that kids and teens all over the world still enjoy today, not Peter. Facinelli played the role of Kirill Cullen in the movie Twilight. Kirill is a very special vampire who is more than 300 years old, but he looks like a man. In his early 30s, he is the leader and father figure of the Cullen family, which means he takes care of everyone and helps guide them. Kirill is very kind and caring, and unlike many vampires in other stories, he does not want to hurt humans or cause harm. Instead, he works as a doctor in the town of Forks, Washington, where the story happens. He helps people by taking care of their health just like a regular doctor, but he has to keep his vampire identity a secret. Peter Facinelli's role was very important because Kirill's kindness and wisdom show that vampires can be good and caring, not just scary. His character teaches Bella and the audience that love and family can be strong, even when things are very different from normal. Peter Facinelli's performance as Carla was gentle and thoughtful. He acted like a calm and loving dad who always thinks about what is best for his family. Kirill is brave, too, because he has lived for hundreds of years and has seen many changes in the world, but he still wants to protect his family and help others. Peter made Kirill seem very responsible and wise, which helped the movie feel more real and serious. He showed how Kirill is a strong vampire, but also very peaceful and respectful of humans. Many fans liked how Peter played Kirill because he was warm and kind, making viewers believe that the Cullen family could live peacefully among humans. His calm and friendly way of acting helped balance the movie, showing that not all vampires are dangerous. Making the movie was not always easy for Peter Facinelli. Playing a vampire who looks like a normal person but is very old and powerful meant he had to act in a way that was both human and supernatural. Sometimes Peter had to wear special makeup to make his skin look very pale, like a vampire's skin. This makeup could be uncomfortable and took a long time to apply before filming each day. Also, some scenes required Peter to show strong emotions like worry or love while staying calm and controlled, which was challenging because acting this way needs a lot of practice and focus. The weather during filming was often cold and rainy in Oregon and Washington, so wearing vampire costumes, including long coats and suits, was sometimes uncomfortable for Peter. Despite these challenges, he worked hard every day to give his best performances. Kirill. Another challenge Peter Facinelli faced was working with a large cast of young actors, including Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, who played Bella and Edward. As the oldest vampire in that family leader, Peter had to be a role model on set and sometimes help younger actors feel comfortable and confident. This was a big responsibility, but he handled it well and became close friends. With the cast, the Twilight movies became very popular very fast, which meant Peter had to keep playing Kirill in 4 more movies, each time making the character grow and change a little bit. This meant many years of hard work, traveling and acting. Even though it was a lot of work, Peter enjoyed playing Carlisle because he liked showing the good side of vampires and the importance of family love. His role helped make Twilight a magical story that kids and teens around the world love to watch again and again. Elizabeth Rouser played the role of Em Cullen in the movie Twilight. Em is the kind and loving wife of Carl Cullen and the mother figure in the Cullen family. Even though she is a vampire, she shows a warm and gentle side that makes her family feel like a real caring family. Isma is like the mom who loves and supports everyone, especially Bella Swan when she becomes part of the family. Elizabeth Reese's job was very important because she helped show how the Cullen family is not just a group of vampires, but a family that cares deeply for each other. Her gentle and caring personality helped make the story feel warmer and more hopeful, even though there are scary and dangerous parts. She shows that love and kindness can exist even in a world of Vampires. Elizabeth's performance as Issa, soft and loving. She acted like a calm and caring mother who always wants to help and protect her family. Emma is very understanding and kind to Bella, making Bella feel welcome and safe. Elizabeth used her voice and expressions to show warmth and comfort, so the audience could see that Isma is a gentle and peaceful character. Many fans liked how Elizabeth played Aim because she made the vampire family feel more like a real family with love and trust. Her acting helped people believe that even though the Cullens are different from regular humans, they still have feelings, just like everyone else. This made the movie more special and gave it a nice, caring feeling. Making the movie had some challenges for Elizabeth Reese. Playing a vampire meant she had to wear special pale makeup every day before filming, which could take a long time. And feel strange. The makeup made her skin look very light and smooth like a vampire's, but it was sometimes uncomfortable. Also, many scenes were filmed outside in the cold and rainy weather of Oregon and Washington, which made acting harder because she had to stay in character even when it was chilly. Esme's character is calm and quiet, so Elizabeth had to show her feelings in small ways, like through gentle smiles or soft looks. This kind of acting can be difficult because it requires a lot of control and practice to make sure those small actions are clear and meaningful on camera. Despite these difficulties, Elizabeth did a wonderful job bringing Nissim to life. Another challenge Elizabeth faced was working with a big cast and making sure her character fit well with the others. Esma is the heart of the Cullen family, so Elizabeth needed to show a lot of love and support for all the characters, especially Kirill and Bella. She also had to be part of many important family scenes where the Sens talk about protecting Bella and dealing with vampire dangers. Being part of such a famous movie series meant Elizabeth had to return for the next 4 Twilight movies, which required many months of filming over several years. This was a big commitment, but Elizabeth enjoyed playing Eam because she loved showing a kind and caring side of vampires that many people don't expect. Her role helped make the Twilight movies feel more like a family story, which made kids and teens all over the world connect with the characters in the magical world of vampires. Ashley Greene played the role of Alice Cullen in the movie Twilight. Alice is a special vampire who has the amazing power to see the future, but she doesn't see one future. She sees many possible futures based on the choices people make. This makes her very helpful to the Cullen family because she can warn them about danger before it happens. Alice is also Jasper Hale's mate, which means they are partners and very close to each other. In the movie, Ashley helps show Alice as a kind, happy, and energetic character who brings hope and excitement to the story. Her cheerful personality was important because it made the Cullen family seem more fun and loving, not just serious and mysterious. Ashley's acting helped fans see Alice as a bright and important part of the vampire family. Ashley Greene's performance as Alice was full of energy and warmth. She played Alice as someone who is friendly, curious, and always ready to help her family and friends. Because Alice can see the future, Ashley had to act like she knew secrets that other characters didn't know yet. She showed excitement when she had good news and worry when she saw something dangerous coming. Many people thought Ashley did a great job because she made Alice look cheerful and hopeful, which balanced the darker parts of the story. She also showed a lot of love and loyalty to her mate Jasper and the whole Cullen family. Ashley's acting helped make Alice a memorable character who was easy to like and root for throughout the yid. Making the movie was not always easy for Ashley Greene. Playing a vampire meant she had to wear special makeup to make her skin look very pale and smooth like a vampire's skin. This makeup could be uncomfortable and take a long time to put on before filming each day. Ashley also had to wear costumes that were sometimes fancy or strange, which could feel a little heavy or hot during long filming days since Alice has special powers. Ashley had to act in scenes where she pretended to see things that weren't really there. Yet, so she had to use her imagination a lot. Filming in cold and rainy weather in Oregon and Washington made it harder to, especially because Alice's character is energetic and bright. So Ashley had to stay lively even when the weather was gloomy. Despite these challenges, Ashley worked very hard and gave a great performance. Another challenge Ashley faced was playing a character who had to be very fast and quick in some scenes, especially when Alice used her vampire speed or helped protect Bella. This meant Ashley had to practice moving in a special way to make her actions look smooth and fast on camera. She also had to build strong friendships with the other actors because Alice is very close to her family and friends in the story. Ashley returned to play Alice in the other Twilight movies, which meant a lot of work over several years. Even though it was hard work, Ashley loved playing Alice because she enjoyed showing a vampire who was full of life and hope. Her role helped make the Twilight movies exciting and fun for kids and teens all around the world who wanted to see vampires as more than just scary creatures. Kellen Lutz played the role of EMTT Cullen in the movie Twilight. EMTT is the strongest vampire in the Cullen family. He is known for being very strong and tough, but also very kind. And EMTT is like the big brother in Got, the family who loves to protect everyone, especially his sister Alice. He is brave and always ready to help his family if they are in danger. Kellen's job was to show EMTT as a strong and loyal vampire who has a good heart and a playful side. His character helped add some excitement and humor to the movie because EMTT's strength and cheerful personality made many scenes more lively and interesting. Kellen Lutz's performance as EMTT showed that he could be both powerful and friendly at the VR. Same time, he had to act like someone who was very strong and fast, but also caring and protective. Kellen did a great job of showing EMTT's confidence and good humor. EMTT often jokes around and makes his family laugh, and Kellen's acting helped bring that fun feeling to the story. Fans enjoyed watching EMTT because he was the strong, dependable member of the family who always stood up for the people he loved. Kellen's acting made EMTT seem like a real person, not just a scary vampire, which helped kids and teens feel connected to the character. Making the movie was not easy for Kellen Lutz. Playing the physically strongest vampire meant that Kellen had to be very fit and strong himself. He spent a lot of time exercising and training so he could look the part of EMTT, who is really powerful and muscular. This was hard work because it took dedication and discipline. Kellen also had to wear special makeup to make his skin look pale like a vampire's. And sometimes he had to wear tight clothes or costumes that could feel uncomfortable after many hours of filming. The weather was often cold and rainy in the places where they filmed, like Oregon and Washington, so it was sometimes hard for Kellen to stay warm while wearing vampire costumes. Even with these problems, Kellen stayed focused and gave a great performance as a EMTT. Another challenge Kellen faced was acting in action scenes that required EMTT to show his vampire strength. He had to pretend to fight or lift heavy objects very easily, which sometimes needed special effects and care movements. Kellen had to practice these scenes many times to make sure they looked real and exciting on screen. He also had to work closely with the other actors playing the Cullen family to show how close and loving their family is. Kellen returned to play EMTT in the other Twilight movies too, which meant a lot of hard work and time on set over several years. Even though it was tough, Kellen loved playing EMTT because he enjoyed being the strong and fun member of the vampire family. His role helped make the Twilight movies exciting and full of heart, which made many kids and teens all over the world love the story. Nikki? Reed played the role of Rosalie Hawley in the movie Twilight. Rosalie is a very beautiful vampire and the mate of EMTT Cullen, which means they are partners and very close to each other. She is known for being the most beautiful person in the world. According to the story, Rosalie looks like a model because she is tall, elegant, and has shiny hair, and perfect skin. Even though she is beautiful on the outside, Rosalie's feelings are a little complicated. She feels worried and angry because she doesn't like the idea of Edward, another vampire, falling in love with Bella, a human girl. Rosalie thinks this relationship could be dangerous and could put the whole vampire family in. Nikki Reed's job was very important because she showed that not all vampires feel the same way, and sometimes even family members can have different opinions and feelings. Nikki Reed's performance as Rosalie was very strong and serious. She acted like someone who is proud, confident, and a little bit cold toward Bella at first. Rosalie does not hide her feelings, and Nikki showed this by using her facial expressions and body language to make Rosalie look distant and protective of her family. But even though Rosalie seemed a little mean, Nikki also showed that deep inside, Rosie cares a lot about her family and wants to keep them safe. Nikki's acting helped make Rosalie a more interesting character because she was not just nice or scary, she was complicated, just like real people. Many fans noticed how well Nikki showed Rosalie's feelings and how she slowly started to accept Bella by the end of the movie. Making the movie had some challenges for Nikki Reed. Playing Rosalie meant she had to wear special vampire makeup that made her skin look very pale and perfect, which took a long time to put on every day. Sometimes this makeup could feel uncomfortable, especially during long filming hours. Nikki also had to wear beautiful and fancy clothes that suited Rosalie's elegant style. But these costumes could sometimes be heavy or tight. Filming took place in places where the weather was often cold and rainy, so it was not always easy to stay warm while wearing vampire costumes. Nikki also had to act in scenes where Rosalie was angry or upset, which could be emotionally tiring because she had to show strong feelings while staying in character. Despite these problems, Nikki worked hard and gave a great performance as Rosalie. Another challenge Nikki faced was showing Rosalie's change in feelings during the story. At first, Rosalie was very hostile and unfriendly toward Bella, but later she began to accept Bella as part of the family. Nikki had to act this change carefully so that the audience could understand Rosalie's emotions. She also had to work closely with the other actors who played the Cullen family to show the complicated but strong family bonds. Nikki returned to play Rosalie in the other Twilight movies too, which meant she had to spend many months filming over several years. This was a big commitment and sometimes tiring, but Nikki enjoyed playing Rosalie because she liked showing a character who was beautiful and strong, but also had a soft side. Her role helped make the Twilight movies more exciting and real for kids and teens around the world. Jackson Withbone played the role of Jasper Hawley in the movie Twilight. Jasper is a member of the Cullen family and has a very special power. He can change and control the emotions of people around him. This means he can make someone feel calm, scared, or happy just by being near them. Jasper is also one of the newest vampires in the Bella family, which means he has a harder time than the others, following the family's special rule to only feed on animal blood, human blood. This vegetarian diet helps them live peacefully without hurting people. Jackson's role was important because Jasper's struggles made the story more interesting, showing that even vampires have to work hard to do what is right. Doc Jackson Withbone's performance as Jasper was quiet and serious, which suited Jasper's calm and thoughtful personality. He had to act like someone who was always trying hard to control himself, especially his thirst for human blood. Jackson showed Jasper's inner struggles through his facial expressions and the way he moved, sometimes calm and gentle, other times tense and nervous. Many people liked how Jackson made Jasper look like a kind and gentle vampire, even though he had a tough time controlling his emotions and instincts. Jackson's acting helped viewers understand that Jasper is a strong and brave vampire who wants to do the right thing even when it's hard. Making the movie was not always easy for Jackson Wrath. Jasper's character has a complicated personality, so Jackson had to practice acting with many different emotions and feelings. He had to show Jasper's kindness, but also his struggle with his vampire nature. Like the other actors, Jackson had to wear pale vampire makeup, which took a long time to put on, and sometimes felt uncomfortable during long days of filming. The weather during filming was often cold and rainy, which made it harder to stay comfortable while wearing vampire costumes. Also, because Jasper uses his powers to change emotions, Jackson sometimes had to act in scenes that required him to seem very powerful but quiet, which took a lot of focus and control. Despite these challenges, Jackson worked very hard and gave a great performance as Jasper. Another challenge. Jackson, faced with showing how Jasper fits into the Cullen family. Since Jasper is the newest member, he sometimes feels like an outsider and has to earn the family's trust. Jackson had to act scenes where Jasper learns to live peacefully with the other vampires and help protect Bella. He also had to work well with the other actors to show the family's close relationships. Jackson returned to play Jasper in the other Twilight movies, which meant many months of filming over several years. Even though it was hard work, Jackson enjoyed playing Jasper because he liked showing a character who is strong, caring, and always trying to do the right thing. His role helped make the Twilight movies more exciting and showed that even vampires have feelings and challenges just like people. Billy Burke played the role of Charlie Swan in the movie Twilight. Charlie is Bella Swan's father, and he works as the chief of police in the small town of Forks, Washington. This means he is the most important police officer who helps keep the town safe and solves problems. Charlie loves his daughter Bella very much and worries about her when she moves. To Forks from Phoenix, his job as a police chief is serious, and he has to protect the people in the town, but he also tries to be a good and caring dad too. Billy Burke's role was important because Charlie's character showed what it is like to be a protective parent and a responsible town leader. Billy Burke's performance as Charlie was calm, serious, and kind. He acted like a real dad who cares deeply about his daughter, even if he doesn't always understand everything about her. New life. Billy showed Charlie's strong and quiet personality by speaking gently and looking thoughtful. Charlie is not a vampire or a teenager, so Billy's acting helped bring a different kind of character to the movie. Someone normal who has to deal with strange events happening around him. Many fans liked how Billy made Charlie feel real and loving, especially in scenes where he worries about Bella's safety or talks to her with kindness. His acting helped balance the story by showing a normal family life in the middle of all the vampire excitement. Making the movie was sometimes challenging for Billy Burke because he had to play a serious and strong character who also shows love and care. Playing the chief of police meant Billy had to act in scenes that involved police work, like investigating or asking questions, which needed him to look professional and responsible. Billy also had to work with many young actors like Kristen Stewart, who played Bella, to make their family relationship believable and touching. Even though Billy's character did not have special vampire powers or exciting abilities, he had to keep his acting interesting and important to the story. Sometimes filming in cold and rainy weather made it harder to stay comfortable, but Billy stayed focused and gave a great performance. Another challenge Billy faced was acting in scenes where his character Charlie doesn't know about the vampires and their dangers. Yet he had to show worry and confusion without making it seem funny or too simple. Billy worked hard to make sure that Charlie's feelings seemed real and believable to the audience. He also had to build a strong relationship on screen with Kristen Stewart, showing a loving and protective father and daughter bond. Billy Burke returned to play Charlie in all the other Twilight movies, which meant he spent many months filming over several years. Even though it was sometimes hard work, Billy enjoyed playing Charlie because he liked showing a normal, caring dad in a story full of vampires and magic. His role helped make the Twilight movies feel more real and gave the story a heart that kids and teens could understand and relate to. Cam Gigandet played the role of James Witherdale in the movie Twilight. James is one of the 3 nomadic vampires, which means he doesn't live with the Cullen family, but travels around hunting for people to feed on. He is the main bad vampire in the story because he is very dangerous and mean. James is Victoria's mates, meaning they are partners, and he is known as a great tracker. This means he has super strong senses like an amazing nose and ears. So, he can find people no matter where they hide. His special ability to track made him a scary villain because he could follow Bella even when she tried to stay safe. Cam's role was very important because he was the one creating the biggest danger for Bella, which made the story exciting and full of suspense. Cam Gigandet's performance as James was fierce and scary. He acted like a vampire who enjoys hunting and being powerful. Cam showed James as very confident and strong, but also cruel because he liked to chase his victims and cause fear. His acting helped make James a real threat in the movie, and viewers could feel the danger Bella was in whenever James was near. Cam used his body language, like quick movements and angry expressions, to make James look like a fast and smart hunter. Many people who watched the movie thought Cam did a great job playing a villain that was both frightening and believable. Making the movie was not easy for Cam Gigandet, because playing a scary vampire meant he had to do a lot of action scenes. He had to run fast, fight, and show strong physical movements to look like a powerful vampire. These scenes sometimes needed special effects, and Cam had to practice carefully to make sure everything looked real and exciting. He also had to wear vampire makeup and costumes, which could be uncomfortable, especially during long hours of filming. The weather was often cold and rainy during filming in places like Oregon and Washington, so staying warm while acting as a vampire was tough. Despite these problems, Cam worked very hard and gave a strong and memorable performance as James Deh. Another challenge Cam faced was making James different from the other vampires in the story. While the Cullen family vampires are calm and kind, James is wild and dangerous. Cam had to show this difference clearly through his acting, so the audience could see why James was the villain. He also had to work with other actors during tense and scary scenes, especially with Kristen Stewart, who played Bella. Cam returned to play James only in the first Twilight movie because his character story ended there. But his role was very important because it started the big conflict that made the story exciting even though it was challenging. Cam enjoyed playing James because he liked bringing the scary vampire to life and making the story thrilling for kids and teens all over the world. Michelle Lefevre played the role of Victoria Sutherland in the movie Twilight. Victoria is a vampire who travels with her mate James and another vampire named Laurent together. They cause a lot of trouble in the Olympic Peninsula, which is the area where the story takes place. Victoria is dangerous and clever, and she helps James try to hunt Bella. Victoria is very protective of James and works with him to find Bella and scare her. Even though she doesn't appear as much as some other characters, Victoria's role is important because she helps make the story more exciting and scary. She shows that the vampires outside the Cullen family are wild and dangerous, which makes the Cullen family's peaceful life look even. Relly Lefava's performance as Victoria was strong and serious. She acted like a sneaky and quick vampire who is always ready to cause problems. Michelle used her eyes, voice, and movements to make Victoria look mysterious and a little bit frightening. She showed that Victoria is smart and careful, but also very determined to get what she wants. Many people liked how Rella made Victoria seem like a real threat without saying too many words. Her acting helped to make Victoria a character that viewers would remember, even though she didn't have as much screen time as some others. Filming the movie was sometimes hard for Rella. Playing a vampire meant she had to wear pale makeup, and special costumes, which could feel heavy and uncomfortable during long days on set. Sometimes she had to film action scenes that needed a lot of energy and movement, like running or fighting, which could be tiring. The movie was filmed in cold and rainy weather in Oregon and Washington, so staying warm while wearing vampire clothes was also a challenge. Even with these problems, Rella stayed focused and worked hard to make Victoria's character look real and scary for the audience. Another challenge Rella faced was making Victoria different from the other vampires. While the Cullen family vampires are calm and kind, Victoria is wild and dangerous. So Rel had to act in a way that showed this clearly. She also had to work well with Cam Jagandet, who played James, to show their strong and scary vampire team. Even though Relle only appeared in the first Twilight movie, her role was very important because she helped start the action and danger in the story. After Twilight, another actress took over the role of Victoria in the next movies, but work helped set the stage for what happened later. She enjoyed playing Victoria because it was fun to be part of an exciting story full of adventure, mystery, and vampires. Idiagi played the role of Laurent Dar-Revon in the movie Twilight. Laurent is one of the 3 nomadic vampires who travel around looking for victims. He is different from James and Victoria because he is the most calm and civilized of the group. This means he tries to stay calm and doesn't act as wild or mean as the others. Even though Laurent is a vampire and dangerous, he has a sense of control and does not enjoy hurting people as much as James and Victoria do. Lawrence's role in the story is important because he helps create trouble for Bella and the Cullen family, but also shows there are different kinds of vampires with different personalities. Edie Gage's performance as Laurent was quiet but powerful. He played Laurent as a strong and thoughtful vampire who watches everything carefully before acting. Edie used his eyes and slow movements to make Laurent seem calm and in control, but also scary because you never know when he might attack. His acting helped to make Lent feel like a real vampire with deep thoughts, not just a scary monster. Many people thought Edie did a great job, showing that Laurent is smart and serious and that he thinks about what he does more than the other 2 vampires. This made Laurent a very interesting character in the movie. Filming the movie was not always easy for Edie. He had to wear vampire makeup and costumes that made his skin look pale and his eyes bright, which took a lot of time to get ready every day. Sometimes the costumes and makeup made it hard to move comfortably, especially during long hours of filming. The movie was shot in places that were cold and rainy, like Oregon and Washington. So Edie had to stay warm and focused while wearing vampire clothes that were not always warm. He also had to do some action scenes where he had to run, fight, or act very seriously, which took a lot of energy and practice. Even with these challenges, Edie worked hard and gave a strong performance as Laurent Dot. Another challenge Edie faced was making Laurent different from the other vampires in the movie. Since Laurent is calm and thoughtful, Edie had to act in a way that showed he was not as wild or angry as James or Victoria, but still dangerous. He also had to show moments when Laurent decides to help the Cullen family, which was different from what James and Victoria wanted. This meant Edie had to show both a scary and a kind side of his character. Ed's role in Twilight helped make the story more exciting because Lawrence's decisions changed what happened to Bella and the Cullen family. Even though Lawrence was a villain, Edie made him a complex and interesting character that people could remember. Sarah Clark played the role of Renee Dwyer in the movie Twilight. Renee is Bella Swan's mother. She lives far away from Forks, Washington, in a sunny place called Arizona. Renee has a new husband named Phil, and they live together there. Even though Renee and Bella live apart, Renee cares very much about her daughter and loves her a lot. Renee's role in the story is important because she shows the part of Bella's life that is different from the cold and rainy town of Forks. She helps us understand that Bella has family who care about her even when she is far. Lang Yi also supports Bella's choices and worries about her safety as Bella falls in love with Edward and faces many dangers. Sarah Clark's performance as Renee was warm and kind. She acted like a caring mom who misses her daughter, but also wants Bella to be happy. Sarah made Renee feel like a real mom by speaking gently and showing love in her eyes and voice. Even though Renee's screen time is not very long, Sarah made her role very meaningful by showing a mother's love from far away. Her acting helped the audience feel that Bella is not alone and that she has family who love her no matter what. Sarah Clark made Renee a comforting and gentle character that added softness to the story's scary and exciting parts. Filming the movie was not very hard for Sarah Clark because she did not have as many scenes as some of the other actors. However, she still had to get ready with makeup and costumes to look like Bella's mom from Arizona, which meant dressing in warm and sunny clothes that matched her character style since the movie was mostly filmed in the cold states of Oregon and Washington. Sometimes filming scenes where Renee was supposed to be in warm places was tricky for the crew. Even though her role was smaller, Sarah worked carefully to make sure Renee's scenes felt real and connected well with Bella's story. She enjoyed playing a mom who supports her daughter from far away. Another challenge Sarah faced was acting in a way that showed a mother's love. Even when she was only on screen for a short time, she had to make sure that viewers understood how important family is to Bella and how Renee cared for her, even though they were apart. Sarah also had to work well with Kristen Stewart, who played Bella, to make their mother-daughter relationship believable. Even though Renee's part was smaller compared to the vampires and other characters, Sarah Clark helped make the story feel more complete by showing that Bella's life is not just about vampires, but also about family and love. This made the Twilight story easier for kids and teens to understand and enjoy. Taylor Lautner played the role of Jacob Black in the movie Twilight. Jacob is an old childhood friend of Bella Swan. The main character, he is part of the Quileute tribe, which is a Native American group that lives near the town of Forks, Washington. At first, Jacob is just a friendly boy who cares about Bella and spends time with her. Although Jacob's role in the first Twilight movie is not very big, he is very important because he becomes a key character in the later movies in Twilight. Jacob helps show Bella's connection to the local people and the natural world around Forks. His presence adds more depth to the story and hints at future adventures. Taylor Lautner's performance as Jacob was warm and friendly. He acted like a nice, kind boy who really cares about Bella and wants to be her friend. Taylor showed Jacob's happy and playful side by smiling a lot and using friendly body. He also showed that Jacob is loyal and brave, which made him a character many fans liked. Even though Jacob does not have a big role in the first movie, Taylor did a good job making Jacob feel real and important. His acting made viewers curious to see what happens to Jacob in the later stories of the Twilight series. Filming the movie was sometimes difficult for Taylor Lautner because he had to wear special costumes and sometimes show physical strength. Even though his part was smaller in this first movie, Taylor was still growing and working on his acting skills during Twilight. So he had to learn a lot while filming. Later in the next movies, his role became bigger and he had to do more action scenes. Also, Taylor's character Jacob is known for being very strong and fast, which meant Taylor needed to be fit and ready for physical activities. Even though some scenes were challenging, Taylor enjoyed being part of the Twilight team and learning how to act in a big movie. One problem Taylor faced was that in the first Twilight movie, Jacob's role was quite small, so he didn't get to show all of his acting skills or have many scenes. However, fans liked Jacob a lot, and Taylor worked hard to make the most of his time. On screen, he had to be patient and ready for bigger parts in the sequels. Another challenge was working with special effects and acting alongside actors playing vampires, which could be tricky because Jacob is a human boy with a special future. Taylor's friendly and hardworking attitude helped him succeed, and he later became one of the main characters in the Twilight series. Even in the first movie, his role was important because it introduced a new part of Bella's world and friendship. Michael Welch played the role of Mike Newton in the movie Twilight. Mike is one of the first people to become friends with Bella Swan when she moves to the small rainy town of Forks, Washington. He is a regular teenage boy who goes to the same high school as Bella. Mike is friendly, cheerful, and a little bit silly. He likes Bella a lot and wants to be more than just friends. Even though Bella doesn't feel the same way about him, his character is important because he helps show Bella's life at school outside of the world of vampires. Mike's presence also shows how normal high school kids act and how Bella tries to fit in. He adds a little humor and fun to the story. Michael Welch gave a great performance as Mike Newton. He acted just like a real high school boy with a big crush on someone. He made Mike seem funny, sweet, and sometimes awkward. Michael used his face, expressions, and voice to show when Mike was happy, nervous, or jealous, especially when Bella was paying more attention to Edward Cullen than to him. He made the character feel real and familiar, like someone you might actually meet at school. Even though Mike was not a vampire or a superhero, Michael made sure his character stood out as a friendly and likable part of Bella's new life in Forks. Filming the movie came with some challenges even though he wasn't in the action or vampire scenes, he still had to do a lot of acting in group scenes with other students, which meant remembering lines, following directions, and working as he had to make sure his acting was fun and real without being too silly. He also had to film in cold and rainy weather because many school scenes were shot in real outdoor locations in Oregon and Washington. Sometimes he had to shoot the same scene over and over to get it just right. But Michael stayed positive and professional and worked hard to bring the character of Mike Newton to life. Another challenge for Michael was to act like a teenager who is dealing with feelings like jealousy and disappointment in a way that young viewers would understand. Since Bella doesn't like Mike in a romantic way, Michael had to show that Mike was still trying to be a good friend even when he was feeling sad or confused. He worked closely with Kristen Stewart, Bella, and the other actors to make their friendships look natural. Michael's role may not have been as dramatic as the vampires' roles, but he made Mike an important part of the story. Someone who reminded Bella of what it's like to be a normal teenager in a new town, trying to make friends and figure out where she belongs. Kristen Stewart played the role of Angela Weber in the movie Twilight. Angela is one of the first girls at school to become friends with Bella Swan. When Bella moves to Forks, Washington, she is a kind, quiet, and friendly classmate who helps Bella feel welcome in her new school. Angela isn't loud or more calm and sweet. She's part of Bella's group of human friends along with Mike, Jessica, and Eric. Even though Angela doesn't know anything about vampires or Bella's secret relationship with Edward, she's always supportive and caring. Her character shows the normal side of Bella's life, which helps the story balance out all the mystery and danger of the vampire world. Kristen Stewart did a wonderful job playing Angela. She made Angela seem like a real high school student who is smart, gentle, and thoughtful. She didn't try to be the center of attention in every scene, but instead acted just like someone who listens, supports others, and gives helpful advice. In one part of the movie, Angela helps Bella with planning a school project, and in another part, she talks kindly about her crush. These moments were small but very real, and they helped show what true friendship looks like. Kristen's acting helped make Angela a very likable character that many viewers could relate to. Even though Angela was not a vampire or involved in the big action scenes, Kristen Stewart still had challenges. During filming, she had to act in scenes with large groups of people, like in the cafeteria or at the school dance, which meant staying focused while the camera moved around a lot. Sometimes she had to film outside in cold, rainy weather. Because the movie was shot in the real forests and towns of Oregon and Washington, which are chilly and wet, even when she was cold or tired, Kristen kept smiling and acting like Angela's sweet, gentle, and kind. She also had to learn her lines, act naturally with the other actors, and help tell Bella's story from the human world. Another challenge Kristen faced was making a quiet character like Angela stand out in a movie full of dramatic vampire action. While some characters were jumping through trees or reading minds, Angela's job was to be real, simple, and supportive. Kristen had to show Angela's personality through small things like how she smiled, how she talked to Bella, and how she treated others. She worked closely with Kristen Stewart, who played Bella, to make their friendship feel real. Might not have had magic powers or a big battle, but Kristen's performance helped show that true friends are powerful in their own way. And some information about it. How do you like our today's video? Please let us know by commenting. And if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.